Yes, I did it. I killed Yvette. I hated her so much. The flames on the side of my face, breathing, breathless, heaving, breaths heaving. And welcome back to another episode of Crips and Corks. I'm your host, DJ, here with my co-host,
Paul, as usual.
What? Shout out to Clue. I love that movie.
I haven't seen that movie in so long.
I love that movie.
Definitely a classic. Maybe an AMC classic, if you will.
Oh.
And what do you know about an AMC classic?
I know a thing or two.
What was it? The AMC channel?
I thought... Wait, AMC
AMC's
channel?
Yeah, there's an AMC channel.
There's an AMC channel?
And a movie theater, yeah.
Is it pay-per-view?
No, it's just like on the regular cable, and they had all
They let that on a regular cable? Like, no
they-
warnings, no nothing?
They just play, like, westerns and shit.
Oh, you're talking about that AMC. I was talking about
Yeah.
All American Cock.
Okay, well, we know...
Kidding.
You
Kidding.
need Jesus.
That was a joke.
I'm actually very impressed you came up with that. That was very good. Very good.
Thank you. I should have said all male cock.
All male cock.
Yeah.
Well, that'll get us
AMC.
canceled.
I
Yeah.
know. It will get us canceled, but that's the only way.
Anyway.
Yeah.
We went to the
All
games.
men's cock.
Yeah.
Men as in mankind.
Mankind, yes.
Yes, all man cock.
You're not going to cancel us today, Internet.
No. It's just I'm trying to fit the abbreviation. Paul, how the hell are you?
I'm good. We just took a good old trip to the candy
Yes,
store.
we did because I
That's
needed
interesting.
I needed garnish for these cocktails that you can't even see because they sunk straight to the bottom.
But we'll get into that a little
Yeah,
later.
yeah. Tell me a little bit about your blessings and curses this week.
So my blessing for this week.
Mm-hmm.
So my blessing is the farmers markets are back, and
Yes.
I love going to the farmers market. The fresh fruit, it's awesome, and so it's expensive. Like paying $5 for blueberries in the grocery store, I'm not going to do that.
No.
But I'll pay $8 at the farmers market because it's supporting a small business. And it's super good, super fresh. I love their plums, their blueberries. Love the farmers market, and I always feel so.
I'm so sorry.
You're fine.
I'm so sorry.
I always feel so, like, cool going to the farmer's market, and I feel so domestic, and it just, like,
Yes.
I feel so cute going to a farmer's market on a Saturday morning. It's
Yeah,
so
it is
cute.
really cute. Although I am the most domestic of all of our friends.
That's very true. Yep, that's very true.
I'm the trad wife of the friend group.
You very much are.
I'm the mom friend. I'm the trad wife.
Yes, and the constant butt of all the jokes. The one we bully the most.
Did not know that. That makes me feel
We make
real
them.
nice.
We make them to your face. It's not.
I thought you were laughing with me, not at me, Paul.
It's a joke. We are laughing with you.
No, I'm joking. I know.
No, but my curse for this week is swimsuit season.
Yeah.
I never feel ready for swimsuit season. And since I was a little kid, I always hated taking off of my shirt in public, at the pool, at the beach.
I think it's a gay thing.
Yeah, I mean, I was never even, like, the person to, like, walk around your house shirtless. Like,
No.
even living alone, I don't do that. I
No.
was never a shirtless person. So, like, swimsuit season, awful. Hate it. Hate water parks. Hate it. Just
Yeah.
not the tea. If I could leave my shirt on and go to the beach and everything,
I mean, you
I'm
can.
there. Yeah, but people are gonna think you're a loser.
Uh,
Yeah. So that's my curse is swimsuit season. What are your blessings and curses?
blessing. I bought one of those little bottles of wine at the liquor store last night. Do you know what's nice about those? You can drink it straight from the bottle like a beer, and it's not as depressing as if you drink straight from a regular bottle of wine.
See, I feel badass when I drink straight from a regular bottle of wine. I feel fucking cool.
See,
I feel like-
if I'm with you and I drink straight from the bottle, it's like, okay, like this is camaraderie. But
Oh, you're right. When you do it alone,
when
it's
I do it
sad.
alone, it's like I've hit rock bottom. But when you get the little bottles, that are only like, it's about the size of a bottle of beer, like that tall. It's a little wider.
No, I know which ones you're talking about. Yeah.
And like I was drinking it straight from. And here's the thing: a big bottle you got to grab by the neck.
Mm-hmm.
This you grab by the body, like a beer bottle. And so it was much less sad. And so last night while I was doing my notes, I was drinking a bottle of Kendall Jackson Cabernet Sauvignon straight from the bottle. But it was a little one, so it's not sad.
Okay. Sure.
My curse, I ran to the mall to do a return last night, and I decided to do a couple laps around the mall.
Mm-hmm.
I had not realized how many couples walk around the mall, and I had to go into a public bathroom because I started to cry because I'm so alone.
Is everything okay, girl?
No, I forgot to take my anti-anxiety pill yesterday, which is why I started to cry in the mall from seeing all those couples. And that's my curse. Take your pills, people.
Your eyes are watery right now, girl.
No,
You're about to
they're not.
start crying again.
They're not watery. I think I would know. They're not watery.
You'll find someone soon.
I know.
It'll happen soon. I'm
One
sorry
of
you
these
cried
days.
at the mall in the bathroom.
It wasn't a cry. I just had to get a control, like myself under control.
I'm sorry. I'm not laughing.
No, you can laugh.
I'm so sorry.
I'm very much one of those people that I would laugh at. Also, the garnish, my garnish floated to the top first, and now it's sunk, but yours is floated from the top. So we'll see.
Okay. How about some pop culture corner?
Yeah, share with me.
So I have a bone to pick with someone.
Oh God,
Candace Cameron. The girl who played DJ.
Candace Cameron Bure. She goes by her married name.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have many bones to pick with her, but what's your bone?
She was on a podcast recently, and she said she does not watch horror movies because it opens up a portal on her television to allow spirits and negative things into her home. This girl is crazy. And I know, didn't she go on a tirade against gay people in Hallmark movies and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
See,
That's why she's not making Hallmark movies anymore, because they started doing gay stories. Because she said, I believe she said the reason why she works so much with Hallmark and not Lifetime, because Lifetime was open to doing, like, Lifetime, like, advertised that they were looking to do LGBT stories, but they hadn't found a good, like, one that they were interested in making yet. And so she said, and that's why I work with Hallmark, because it's the family values channel. And then they've started doing it, and so she left Hallmark. And I was surprised, like, when she was doing Fuller House, like, there were a couple plot lines revolving around gay people, and I was like, she's an executive producer. I'm surprised they let her do this. Like, she let this happen because she's gone on... When she was on The View, she got into a shouting match with Whoopi Goldberg because she was like, gay people are mentally ill!
yeah.
And Whoopi Goldberg is a real one. Go Whoopi.
And it shows her how crazy she is, that she thinks things are going to pop out of her TV. And watching a scary movie is going to make it gives that crazy religious family that was in every high school that believed Harry Potter is the devil. It's just so crazy religious.
Do you remember the Golden Compass?
No.
The
one with the polar bear?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
My family would not let me see that. But they had good reason, because the animals in it were called demons.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, no, like, this is, like, promoting demonology, which I could see how they could make that mistake.
Right. But no, every high school did have that family or that kid who thought Harry Potter was the devil and their parents wouldn't let them watch
Or a
Harry
whole
Potter.
cult. My high school is so small, but there's a whole cult in there.
Mm. Well, I do want to bring this around and say DJ Tanner would not have liked Candace Cameron. I feel like DJ Tanner was an ally. I feel like...
DJ Tanner had to have been out. And
she was the cool sister.
I feel... Did they stop making Fuller House? Because I feel like they should have. Because
I think they did, yeah.
I feel like they should have, because I feel like everyone else on that show would go like, we don't want to be around Candace anymore.
Yeah.
And they probably don't want to be around Aunt Becky anymore after the whole college admissions scandal.
Right.
Come on, Aunt Becky.
Oh, and Kimmy Gibbler, gay icon.
Kimmy Gibbler was a gay icon. All those crazy outfits.
Yeah, she was an icon. Get into Kimmy Gibbler from Full House.
Hola, Tanneritos. Every time. That's gay.
She's a gay icon. And honestly, DJ Tanner was the cool sister. And she was definitely an ally. She probably had a gay friend in school. Like, DJ Tanner.
She should have.
Icon. Legend. The moment.
And also, every time, like, I'm talking to a guy and he's like, oh, like, DJ, is that your nickname? And it's like, well, anymore, like, I have the government name, and then DJ's, like, my name.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, but, like, if you're really close to me, like, people call me Deej, and it's Deej.
Right.
And they're like, isn't that just a different way to spell DJ? And it's like, no, you need to watch Full House to see how it's pronounced. Because it's D with a hard J. Deej.
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 Oh, Deej.
Oh, Deej.
It's all over, Deej.
It's all over. Anything else for Pop Culture Corner?
I think we're running a little tight on time. So I was going to talk about JoJo Siwa, but we'll talk about her next week.
God.
Because we have a lot to discuss about her as well.
Yeah, and we have a lot to discuss today. But first, let's drink. Today, we have a cocktail. Okay, the garnish is floating again. We have... This is called a Shark Attack. It is vodka, blue cacao, Sprite, and then in there for garnish there are 2 Swedish fish and a gummy shark.
You can't see the gummy shark, but it's in there.
And
for the attack,
we've got grenadine, and I wanted to put this in last.
Do we want to put it in like close to the camera? I'm gonna sip this.
Yeah, sip that. I'm sorry. I filled these two. How does it taste without the grenadine?
It's fine. Okay, we're gonna pour it so you guys can see the shark attack. The blood.
Ooh, that was actually really good effect.
Okay. It's giving shark attack a little bit. Okay, give yourself your grenadine, your good old shark attack. The shark attack cocktail, if you will.
Stop being Guillermo Moss. I feel like the effervescence on it kind of distorted the color on the camera.
That's okay.
It's okay.
Cheers.
Cheers. So, I know it's a little sweet.
Mine's not that sweet.
No?
No, mine's opposite.
It's bitter?
I wish mine was this. Not bitter. I just wish mine was better.
Here, you can have mine. I don't know why I made them the exact same.
Honestly, it's a cute cocktail. It's a fun idea. I appreciate the effort you put into it. I don't like it. I apologize. I'm giving it 2 grapes. I love those little gummy sharks. They're the little blue gummy sharks you get as a kid, like we used to get. Those are my favorite. I would always get those as a kid. I love those little gummy sharks. So I'm actually going to give it 3 grapes because of the gummy shark. And we all know, like, that restaurant that does the shark attack cocktail where they have the toy
Applebee's.
shark. And, they dump in the grenadine and it's red.
Yeah, that's a take on that. This is a take on that. I just kind of freeballed it.
I like it.
And I don't know. I made them the exact same. Like, I made them side by side. So I don't know why the one you had originally, the one that I now have, tastes different.
Yeah. It's not my favorite. I'm so sorry. Nothing
it's fine.
on you.
No, I did it for the gimmick.
Period. Because if you didn't tell.
Out of that glass, I am going to give it 4 grapes because it tastes like soda.
Mm-hmm.
The one I'm drinking now, I'm going to give 3 grapes because it doesn't have much of a taste.
Yeah. It's an interesting cocktail. But
maybe as I put the ice in yours first
and
it melted faster. I don't know. Anyways, Paul, let me tell you a story.
Let's get into it.
As the dog days of summer roll in, the mercury on the thermostat keeps rising. How better to cool off than a trip to the beach for a swim in the cool sea waters? As you paddle, you notice a dark shape looming in the water a few feet away from you. You turn back to look at the shore where the other swimmers are happily splashing and playing, and lifeguards watch from their stands. But all it takes is an instant for the king of the ocean, a beast of prehistoric origins with a bite force of 4,000 pounds per square inch, to grab you and drag you to a watery grave and a bloody end. Today, we're not talking about a mythical beast, or supernatural creature. We're discussing a very real creature which turned into a monster, terrorizing the Jersey Shore more than any time until Snooki arrived. Get ready, Paul. We're going to need a bigger boat this week as we explore the story of the real-life Jaws.
Period. That Snooki joke was good.
I had to put it in there.
You got me with that Snooki joke.
I had to put it in there. We're talking about the Jersey Shore. You can't say Jersey Shore without making a Snooki joke.
I didn't realize the Jersey Shore is where those shark attacks started. That's Jaws was based off of.
Yeah. So this is the 50th anniversary of Jaws. Peep the merch. Not Paul. Paul's lame. But so
I'm beachy. I went beachy.
You are beachy.
I'm gonna go lay in the sun and not be
Can you
pale.
even see your pants on this?
No. Well, a little bit. You can see my swimsuit.
Okay, cool.
She's pink.
I
Is
didn't
it pink?
because I think it's brown. But anyways,
Before you start the story, do you really think the shark's the king of the ocean?
I just needed something to like put in there. What do you think is the king of the ocean?
I'll agree with you if whales are the queens.
I can agree with
Sharks
that.
can be the kings and whales can be the queens.
Yeah, because there is something like motherly. Well, I mean, whales are very maternal creatures.
Yeah, there's a feminine energy there.
Yes,
And
where
then-
sharks are more primal, more action based.
Maybe dolphins are the princesses?
We need to do Ocean Tarot. Where sharks are the kings.
Copyright!
Whales are the queens. Dolphins are the jacks. No, not the jacks, the pages. Now, what are we going to do as knights?
Knights. Oh, bitch. I don't know. Maybe jellyfish?
No, you need something.
Seahorse.
Okay, we'll make dolphins the knights. Now, what are going to be pages? Like something a little more. Seals.
Seal. Okay.
Seals, because they just gonna lay on the beach.
Me too. I love to lay
Okay.
on the beach.
Perfect. All right, but yeah, so Jaws turns 50 this year, and so I wanted to do. This isn't a cryptid. This isn't a ghost story. It's just a scary story.
It is. It's like, yeah, bloody, gory.
It's bloody, gory, but it's 100% real life. And the thing is, this is our show. Anything that we think is spooky, we cover. I think this is kind of spooky.
Right.
And what better way to cover the original summer blockbuster than to talk about what inspired it?
Right. And so many people have a fear of sharks in the ocean. They won't go to the ocean because of
I
sharks and
do.
shit.
So when I was 2, my father thought it would be a good idea to watch Jaws with me. Now because I'm nearly 30, I will go in about up to my chest, but only with somebody else.
Just to the nipple.
Yeah, just to
so
the
it-
nip. Well, no, I'll go to about there.
So it gently caresses the nipple.
No, I'll go to about armpit.
You're really not going to let me have this nipple joke?
No, I'm not going to let you have the nipple joke because it's my nipples you're talking about.
These are worldly nipples.
But also, it was bad because, and we'll talk about, with the freshwater, I was scared to swim in rivers. I was scared to swim in pools. Because when you're 2 and, growing up, when you're 7, you can't really distinguish, you think water, Jaws.
Right.
And we'll get into, real life sharks a little bit at the end.
Okay, cool. Let's get into it.
Yeah. So, let me take you back a little bit. Take you on the Wayback Machine. In the early 1900s, swimming the ocean was becoming one of the most popular pastimes. People were eager to leave the dirty cities for the sea breeze. I love a sea breeze. How about you, Paul?
Yeah, I love the smell of the salt water.
Yes.
Mm.
Even the smell like seaweed, it's kind of pungent, but it's yes, this smells like relaxation.
Yes.
Doctors actually prescribed to parents to take their children to the sea because it was better for them than the city air amid the ongoing polio epidemic.
I get that, because they're not
Yeah.
around, like, all the sickness and shit.
Yeah,
They're open
I mean,
air.
you have to think, like, at this time, urban areas also had a lot of factories, and there were a lot of cars, and so it was very polluted. You didn't have factories out in the country like we do nowadays. They were in the cities.
Right.
As the craze for sea bathing increased, beach resorts began springing up all along America's coastlines, with New Jersey offering some of the very best. It had resorts to cater to all types, and since it was only a short train ride from New York and Philadelphia, it meant that many of the nation's wealthiest and most powerful had summer homes along the Jersey Shore. In fact, 7 U.S. presidents summered there, including, at the time of our story, President Woodrow Wilson, who was a former New Jersey governor.
Who's the fat one, right?
No, that was William Howard Taft. This is the one with the glasses.
Who's the bathtub one?
That was William Howard Taft.
Oh, Taft. Okay.
Who was right before Wilson. Wilson was a former New Jersey governor, and he had long had a beach home on the Jersey Shore. That was his summer White House.
Period.
The summer of 1916 was shaping up to be one of the biggest years yet for these beach resorts. While World War I raged in Europe, America remained yet untouched. In April of that year, Dr. Frederick Lucas, director of the American Museum of Natural History in New York, that's the one like where Night at the Museum takes place, published an article on sharks stating it was improbable that any shark would unprovokedly attack a human. And even if it had, its jaws were far too weak to snap a human bone.
They really didn't know any better. They were just putting shit out
they
there.
Didn't.
Just to get people to the beach.
This is about 50 years after they stopped drawing sharks with the mouth on the side of the head.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Before summer was out, he would be proven wrong.
Yeah, Well, that's not even
Foreshadowing.
That's not foreshadowing if you fucking tell him, DJ.
It's foreshadowing. That summer, a heat wave rolled in, sending more people to the Jersey Shore than ever before.
I bet. You know what's interesting? So it's 1916, and today, all the trashy people go to the Jersey Shore, right? Mm-hmm. Do you think it was still like the trashy people, but trashy people in 1916?
So there were... So I'm sure the Jersey Shore... When I say the Jersey Shore, I mean the entire coastline of New Jersey. Mm-hmm. So there's probably communities where the rich people are, and there's communities for the not-so-rich people. And that's the thing about Jersey, is that the rich of Philadelphia, New York, and the poor of New York and Philadelphia, it was like 2 hours by train to get there.
Well... The point of that story is, what do you think a trashy person from 1916 would be like? Ooh, give us a demonstration. I'm so ready. I'm sat.
Albert! Stop pulling your sister's swimming skirt up. I'm gonna get a charge for indecency. Morty, do not tell me to not yell at the kids. I don't care if the asses are over there. Albert, put your sister's swimming skirt down.
And that has been another dramatic reenactment from Donovan James Powers.
Thank you. Now, for a second, to go back to how sharks were viewed at this time.
Okay.
There was a millionaire in 1891. He owned a steamship company and had a habit of when his ships were coming in, he would dive from the docks, swim out into the harbor, meet them, get pulled aboard, and ride it through the harbor back to shore. And people said to him, like, hey, aren't you afraid like a shark might get you? And he said, sharks aren't vicious. They're more afraid of people. I've swum with them a number of times. And in fact, if anyone can prove to me that a shark isn't aggressive and can attack a person, I will give them $500, which is like thousands of dollars nowadays.
Right. That's 1916 money.
Yeah. He never got his money, but that's not to say he was right.
Right.
Now, our story begins on July 1st of 1916. 24-year-old Philadelphia stockbroker and son of a prominent doctor, Charles Van Sant, arrived in the elegant resort town of Beach Haven, New Jersey, with his parents and 3 younger sisters. So, I mean, this is very elegant. It's very high scale. Like, you gotta imagine. I mean, think of, like, the old movies. Like, have you ever seen Somewhere in Time?
Nope.
Okay. You ever seen Titanic?
Yes.
Okay, imagine that, but it's not on a sinking ship. It's in a beach town. All, like, the women in the dresses and, like, all that.
Right. And I just picture them walking around like, oh, nothing bad could ever happen here.
Nothing can possibly touch us. I know the Europeans are fighting a war, but but nothing can touch us here in America.
Right.
Now, the athletic Van Sant decided that before changing for dinner, he was going to take a stroll on the beach and have a swim before dinner, which is very normal for young men of his age.
In stature.
And stature.
Dick size.
He had
shoe size.
he had a very strapping swimming costume. You know, the unitard, probably navy, maybe with a nice stripe.
Ooh, not the stripes.
Maybe a nice stripe.
Those stripes really aren't flattering.
They were probably just like little thin stripes. He was probably just wearing a navy or a black swimsuit, honestly. But it was definitely a unitard.
Mm-hmm.
On his way, he befriended a Chesapeake Bay Retriever, which is a large dog.
Right. Which is the state dog of Maryland. You're welcome.
Is it? I did not know that when I was doing this research.
That Maryland Facts Quiz Bowl when I was in 4th grade really stuck with me.
So he began to play fetch with the dog before he and the dog dove in the waves and began swimming beyond the breakers. So that's beyond where the waves began crashing.
So he's swimming with the dog. That's cute. Mm-hmm. That's fun. I would love to swim with the dog.
Meanwhile, on shore, his sister Louise watched while talking to their friend, lifeguard Alexander Ott.
Oh, she was trying to get that lifeguard dick.
A little bit.
She was trying to get... Which I get. Lifeguards are so hot. Oh my god.
Now she was watching, and she saw the dog swim ashore, and she saw her brother waving his arms and calling to the dog. All of a sudden, Alexander Ott realized he wasn't calling to the dog. He was screaming.
Oh.
Because a shark has struck.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Quite the attack, really. Oh my god.
So, Alexander Ott sounded the alarm and dove into the water to help, and he and a bystander, Sheridan Taylor, dragged Van Sant ashore. Taylor actually noted that the shark followed them and the bleeding Van Sant in.
Well, they do say, like, sharks, like, know the scent of blood, and they'll follow the scent of blood.
Yeah, but they didn't know that back then.
So they're freaking out. They're like, oh, he's after him.
No, they pulled him out of the water, and they looked down, and Van Sant's, the back of his thigh from the knee to the buttocks was completely stripped of flesh.
Well, it's lucky he didn't take his, like, whole leg off. That's crazy.
So they put him on a makeshift stretcher and rushed him into the Englewood Hotel and laid him on the manager's desk. Because, like, that was the only, like, place to lay him. Mm-hmm. And they tried to call for a doctor, and, like, his father, like, who was a prominent doctor, but he was, like, an ear, nose, and throat specialist.
The other end of the body. That's not going to help him at all.
But his father, a prominent doctor in his own right, had to stand next to him as he bled to death because his femoral artery was completely severed.
That's actually really sad.
And Van Sant was the first ever recorded victim of a shark attack in the United States.
Oh, in the United States. I was about to say, I'm sure bitches got by sharks before
that.
Yeah,
there were, like, there's a very famous painting about, like, an American, like, ship boy who fell into the Cuba harbor, and he was attacked by a shark, and, like...
It happened.
Anyways.
It's happened before.
But, surprisingly, Van Sant's death at the mouth of a shark. I don't want to say at the hands, but
Yeah, at the mouth.
at the mouth of a shark was little noted outside of Philadelphia newspapers, and Philadelphia newspapers only noted it because he was a local boy. And it wasn't even about like the shark attack, it was just like local boy dies. The New York Times buried the story on page 18 and actually misidentified the attacker as a fish.
Oh. That's crazy. I wonder if they did that on purpose, because there's a big tourism industry.
No, they really didn't know.
Oh, they didn't
They
know.
really did not know.
Sorry, I was going into conspiracy brain.
No.
Where it's like, the tourism industry is
Not
keeping
yet.
them quiet.
Keep that on the back burner.
Okay.
Because many leading scientists argued that it could not have been a shark at all, citing Dr. Lucas's article of April of that year.
Oh, okay.
One person said, it was probably a sea turtle. Sea turtles are aggressive.
Damn, not the sea turtles, the grandpas of
Another
the
person said, sharks don't do that. It must have been an orca. It always comes back to orcas on this podcast.
Sea turtles are the grandpas of the ocean, I feel like.
There are some types of turtles that are aggressive. I don't
snapping.
think like snapping turtles, but I don't think sea turtles are especially aggressive.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Like I said, I think they're the grandpas of the ocean.
Now, James M. Meehan, who is the Pennsylvania Fisheries Commissioner and a former director of the Philadelphia Aquarium, attested that it may have been a shark, but the shark was actually preying on the dog and only accidentally bit Van Sant, and said the beaches were most definitively safe to swim at.
Ooh, bring your family.
Yeah, not a lot of people took notice.
Yeah.
And people continued to flock to the Jersey Shore, ignoring or totally ignorant of the danger waiting offshore, especially as sailors who were sailing into New York and Newark harbors reported seeing hundreds of sharks off the coast.
Hundreds?
Hundreds.
I wonder, it would be so interesting to know what was going that year, like environmentally, that drove all those sharks like inland. Besides it being super warm.
Right. Now, on July 6th, the day after Charles Van Sant's funeral, everything seemed to be back to normal, especially in the resort town of Spring Lake, New Jersey, 45 miles north of Beach Haven.
Okay.
That afternoon, 27-year-old Swiss native Charles Bruder, who was a bellhop at the town's grandest hotel, the Essex in Sussex.
The grandest hotel.
The grandest hotel!
Not that fucking shady-ass, dirty-ass Grand Hotel.
Archibald, are you staying at the Essex in Sussex this year? No! Oh dear, I don't think we shall be able to see you.
I think it's just funny that they call themselves the grandest, and I feel like they're shading the Grand Hotel.
Okay, so I don't think they had, like, in town, I don't think they had a hotel, like, called The Grand. It was just the nicest hotel in town.
Oh, so that's not the actual name of the hotel? It's not the grandest?
No, it's the Essex in Sussex.
Oh.
And it was the Essex in Sussex. It was the grandest in town.
I heard wrong. I thought the name of the hotel was the grandest. Excuse me.
No.
The last 2 minutes of whatever I was doing.
But I'm sure somewhere in town there was probably a hotel called The Grand, and according to the Essex in Sussex, it was not as grand as the Essex in Sussex. I say, Bertha, are you going to the Essex in Sussex? Oh, good, we can't possibly stay at the Grand with the riffraff.
I heard the bellhops will jerk you off for a buffalo nickel.
Well, we'll see what the bellhops do. This bellhop, Charles Bruder, went for his usual afternoon swim. And as he went on his swim, the shark struck. So, on the beach, people began to report to the lifeguards that a red-bottomed canoe had capsized and there was a man struggling out by it. So they launched their lifeboat to assist. As they approached, they noticed the man was unable to keep his head above the water.
Oh, that's not good.
The man cried out, "A shark bit me! Bit my legs off!" They reached him and...
Both? Even the third?
As they reached him, they realized it wasn't a red-bottomed canoe. It was a wide swatch of bloody water.
Oh my gosh. That would actually be crazy to see. I don't think I'd like that.
They reached Bruder, and they grabbed hold of him and tried to hoist him in the boat. And as they hoisted him, they realized he was much lighter than they thought. Only when he was in the lifeboat did they realize he was missing both of his legs. One was bitten off above the knee, the other below.
That would be such a gruesome sight to see. I can't even imagine. And also, like, people don't realize how much blood people actually have. Like, it takes so long for someone to bleed out. And, like, we have so much blood in us.
So going back to Charles Van Sand, they brought him onto the beach first, and apparently the blood was, like, because, like, his arteries were exposed, the blood was pumping into the air. Like, out of the artery.
That's so disgusting. I'm so sorry. I have listened to, like, I've done so much true crime, but, like, picturing that is so disgusting.
Like, on the sand and shit, yeah. They raced back to the shore in vain. Charles Bruder bled to death in the bottom of the boat. They got him to shore, and there were two doctors who totally ignored him. They saw he was dead, and they ignored him because there were women watching who began to faint and vomit, and so they started to help them.
Well, he was already dead. What were they gonna do?
"Oh, my dear, you just need a cold compress and a nice cocktail of cocaine and morphine. You'll feel better. Get her a cold compress and some smelling salts. Give her some cocaine. Let her pack right up."
But honestly, I don't blame them, though, because the guy's already dead, so tend to the alive.
Yeah, that is true. But it was just like, they really just looked at him. They didn't even check a pulse. They said, "Yep, that dead. They're all messed up."
Rest in peace.
I'm going to try and have a sip of my drink without getting blood in my mouth.
Don't you hate when you accidentally get blood in your beverage? Right, guys? That moment when... Am I right, fellas?
Now, this incident sparked panic up and down the Jersey Shore.
Oh, yeah?
Especially as President Wilson's Treasury Secretary, William Gibbs McAdoo, was staying at the hotel, the Essex in Sussex, where Bruder worked at the time that he was killed.
Oh, so they were in the whole hotel. Okay.
The Treasury Secretary. So the Treasury Secretary was on vacation. He could have been the one who got attacked by the shark. And remember, we don't care about poor people. We care about government figures and the wealthy. This is 1916.
Right, it's only when it affects the rich that it matters.
Yeah, it could never be today. We definitely cared far more about the regular people.
Exactly.
Now, the resorts quickly sprung into action to try and prove that their beaches were 100% safe and shark-proof. And they erected these shark net fences where it was wire netting, and they were on big poles like a couple yards off the coast so people could swim without fear of a shark swimming in and getting them.
Okay. That would make me feel comfortable. I'd be like, okay, cool.
Meanwhile, shark hunters patrolled the coast looking for the creature, and some hotels actually hired shark fishermen, like hunters, to patrol right along their beaches.
Mm-hmm.
And they said the noise would actually push the sharks away, because sharks are afraid of loud noises in the water.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And if you were to meet a shark, you should start thrashing and really making a lot of noise. Or even if you wore a really loudly, like, patterned bathing suit, you were safe. Plot twist. Sharks are actually attracted by noise.
See, that makes sense. When they hear things splashing, it's like crocodiles. When they hear things splashing around,
Because they think it's a fish in distress.
right, they think it's prey.
Easy prey.
Right, exactly.
Now, all of this was not enough, and people fled the beach resorts. Especially at one point, one woman was swimming, and she began to scream and shout and call for help, and everyone ran out of the water, and everyone was afraid to go help her for fear of a shark. She actually had a cramp and was unable to swim in herself, and she ended up drowning.
I'd be so pissed if I was that lady.
It was just a cramp.
Oh my, that's actually a crazy story.
One reporter described it as if the summer had just suddenly ended early one day. It is estimated that Jersey Shore beach resorts lost $2,600,000 that summer in 1916 dollars. That's $7.2 million today.
That's crazy how much money that is.
Beach sunbathing that year declined by 75%. So people weren't even going to sunbathe at the beach.
I feel like this story could also be like a comment on mass hysteria.
A little bit.
A little bit of like that hive mind. Yeah, I don't know. Keep going.
But meanwhile, inland, people had no such worries, and people flocked to public swimming pools or fountains even. Or if you're lucky enough to live by a river or a creek, you'd go swimming in there without any such fear.
You're safe in the creek.
Matawan, New Jersey, is a small town 30 miles north of Spring Lake and it's a couple miles inland from the sea. It's inland.
Right. Yeah.
At its heart is the Matawan Creek, which is a muddy tidal creek connected to the sea in which the locals enjoyed swimming. Now, this town more closely resembled a Midwestern farming community than a luxury beach resort like Spring Haven or Spring Lake or Beach Haven.
Okay.
And nobody was worried about sharks here. On the morning of July 12th, retired sea captain Thomas Cottrell was walking along the trolley bridge when he was shocked to see an 8-foot-long shark swimming upstream from the sea. He raced to the other side of the bridge to confirm what he had seen and then ran to there was a lighthouse right there, so he ran in, used the lighthouse keeper's phone to call the local barber shop, which was owned by the chief of police.
Bitch, this is a small town, and I bet he also had the grocery store. He was fucking the girl from the pharmacy.
He was the town drunk.
Right, exactly.
Hello? Chief, dude, this is Captain Cottrell. There's a shark in the creek. What? There's a creek in the shark? I gotta give a haircut to who? When that did not, so he actually told the chief of police, who did not believe him, and the two men in the barbershop with the chief of police actually began laughing and joking. So Cottrell jumped into his motorboat. Yes, they had motorboats in 1916. It was basically a wooden rowboat with a motor on the back.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't think I believe him either, because, like, someone calls you and says some crazy shit, like, be like, okay, he's
But he went up the creek calling to anyone he saw, like, there's a shark in the creek, don't swim, until he got to the Main Street dock, and he went running in town, and the townspeople were like, trying to wrangle him, like, oh my god, you have heat stroke, you need to sit down.
I mean, it sounds like he had, but it sounds like he's going crazy.
A little bit. Around 2 p.m., 11-year-old Lester Stillwell and 3 friends were swimming in the creek near Wyckoff Dock. One of the boys felt something brush past him and said it felt like sandpaper.
Oh.
They noticed a dark shape in the water like an old log or plank floating just below the surface. As Lester floated on his back, showing off to his friends, they saw a large dorsal fin emerge from the water and race at Lester, who was then attacked by the shark.
Anyway,
Lester was dragged under the surface, and the boys jumped out of the water and ran into town, still nude because they were skinny dipping, crying for help for their friend. The townspeople thought the shark story was ridiculous, but feared that Lester may have had a sudden epileptic seizure, despite not having epilepsy.
He got epilepsy!
Oh my god, he got epilepsy! He got epilepsy!
I think that just demonstrates just like
That's the most 1910s thing. Oh my god, my kid got epilepsy out of nowhere!
I think it demonstrates just like how like unmedically like aware these people are that someone could just all of a sudden just get epilepsy.
Yes. But so they thought like Lester was in actual trouble, so they all raced to the creek. Among the first to arrive was 24-year-old Taylor Stanley Fisher, who was beloved. He was athletic. He was a local businessman. He would play baseball with the kids after work.
Mm-hmm.
And without hesitation, he dove into the water to try and help Lester. He repeatedly dove to the bottom of the creek looking for Lester to try and save him before he drowned. And on his very last dive, because free diving is very hard on the lungs.
Right.
So he's doing one last time.
And I'm sure they were smoking back then.
Exactly. And at this point, there are 100 townspeople standing on the dock watching.
Mm-hmm.
Because this wasn't like a little dock. This was like a whole dock where like supplies were unloaded.
Okay.
So there are 100 people watching, including Lester's new girlfriend.
So he had to impress the girl.
No, not Lester. Stanley's new girlfriend.
So he had to impress the girl.
Yes. And on this last dive, he came up with Lester's partially dismembered body. But before he could make it out, the shark attacked. So, in front of 100 bystanders, the shark thrashed Fisher about in the water before finally letting go, and he was pulled from the water, and his leg was completely like stripped of flesh. Think of like Van Sant.
Yeah. At least he wasn't dead, I guess. Like
He was not dead, but the problem was he desperately needed hospital, and the closest hospital was 10 miles away over rough roads. So they commandeered a train. They put him on a train and took him to Monmouth Memorial Hospital in Long Branch. And despite all this, he died at 5:30 that evening of blood loss because his femoral artery was severed.
yeah, and if you really think about it, not having skin on your entire leg, you're bleeding the fuck
I'm not
out.
talking about just skin. I mean, there are chunks of like muscle missing.
That's gross. That's gory.
Lester's body wouldn't be found until 2 days later, 150 feet upstream. His one foot had been chewn off at the ankle, his thigh had been torn to pieces, and his abdomen had been ripped open and his intestines eaten out. Like something had gone in and like eaten his intestines.
Well, the shark's a pedophile. He's eating
Yes.
out little boys.
Only the ones without bathing suits. You know what I hate? I hate when you eat somebody and the bathing suit gets caught in your teeth.
What's that from?
I got it from the podcast I listened to on this. But the shark wasn't done yet. Now, remember Thomas Cottrell, the sea captain who first spotted him? He was among the witnesses. And I would like to believe he had a I told you so moment with the townspeople before he jumped back into his boat and began going further up creek to warn further people. Because a half-mile upstream, 14-year-old Joseph Dunn, his brother, and a friend were swimming in the creek, totally unaware of the attack that just had happened a half hour before. Cottrell came up and alerted them of the attack, and they were scrambling out of the water. But before Joseph could make it out, the shark appeared again. Okay. The shark grabbed Joseph Dunn's leg. Joseph screamed and struggled and could actually feel his throat going down the shark's throat. His brother and his friend grabbed his arms and held tight and engaged in a vicious tug of war with the shark until it finally let go. Dunn's leg was completely stripped of flesh from the knee down, and he was rushed to hospital where doctors had to amputate his leg. Miraculously, Dunn survived and was released from the hospital in September, saying later, "I believe it would have swallowed me."
Well, at least the shark's swallowing.
Maybe, yeah.
But also, like, all jokes aside, it would be the craziest feeling to feel yourself going down the shark's throat. I can't even imagine what that would feel like. That probably felt so crazy.
Yeah. The townspeople of Mattawan were incensed. Within an hour, every hardware store within the vicinity was sold out of ammunition and dynamite, as the angry townspeople patrolled the banks of the creek and shot or threw lit dynamite at anything that moved in the creek. They strung wire nets across the creek, determined to catch and kill the Mattawan man-eater before it could escape. The national press descended on the town and documented the shark hunt. The mayor issued rewards of $100, which is $2,900 today, for anyone who would kill a shark in the creek.
Okay.
Scientists sparked further panics, saying that it was bound to swim into New York Harbor and prey on the shipping there before moving up the coast to terrorize the Hamptons on Long Island. Meanwhile, in the nation's capital, President Wilson convened an emergency cabinet meeting in the middle of summer when everyone was on vacation. He called them all back to Washington to address the issue and how to hunt them. He ordered the Coast Guard and the Navy to patrol the Jersey coast and to shoot any sharks on sight. Meanwhile, Congress appropriated $5,000, 1916, or $150,000 today, towards shark elimination off the coasts.
See, I feel like my not conservative, but conservationist mindset comes in, where it's like, we can't kill all these sharks because they do play an important part in the ecosystem still.
Okay, keep that in mind.
Okay.
Panic gripped the nation from coast to coast as fishermen cashed in on the hysteria. Many of these fishermen claimed to have caught the man-eater, which they would promptly display and charge an admission to sea. One of these was actually Captain Thomas Cottrell, the one who spotted the shark going into the creek. He displayed a sandbar shark he claimed to have caught in a net at the mouth of the creek. Sandbar sharks, they're a bit of the smaller variety.
Right.
Another fisherman caught a blue shark off the coast of Long Island, which he claimed was the man-eater, with no proof and little probability as it was too small.
Don't you hate when it's too small?
Mm-hmm. On July 14th, 2 days after Stilwell and Fisher were killed, taxidermist and Barnum and Bailey circus lion tamer. Imagine having that on your resume.
He sounds like a really interesting guy, honestly.
Honestly, right? Michael Schleicher and his friend John Murphy were fishing in a small boat in Raritan Bay, which the Mattawan Creek flows into. So this is like the ocean bay that it flows into. Suddenly, something caught in the net and gave such a strong pull that the engine of the boat stalled.
Oh.
Schleicher looked as a dorsal anthill fin broke the surface as the shark thrashed in the net. The shark began to try and swim away while still caught in the net and pulled the little boat at such a high speed that water was pouring over the stern into the boat, causing the front of it to rise. Luckily, when the shark realized it couldn't outrun the net, it began to thrash against the net and against the back of the boat, filling the back of the boat with more water. Schleicher looked and realized in horror that the shark was as big as the boat. Murphy, meanwhile, very cleverly threw himself in the front of the boat, to try and get the back of the boat out of the water. Slicer had no gun, no spear, no harpoon, no weapon whatsoever to fight the shark except for a broken oar. He began to viciously strike the creature until it was dead.
With a broken oar?
Like stabbing it, like with a sharp end.
That's insane.
At the dock, crowds were mystified and horrified by this creature, which was vastly different from any other shark that any other fisherman was displaying, with its streamlined, muscular body and huge mouth. Scientists identified this 8-foot creature as a juvenile great white shark.
Just a juvenile? That's crazy.
Well, great whites can grow up to 21 feet long. So this is like a baby.
And it just found its way.
It's not even... Paul, it's not even half the size of an adult.
That's insane, bitch.
Slicer cut the shark open to begin to taxidermy it and found 15 pounds of human flesh and bones, including the shin bone of a young boy.
Oh! That's... Okay, that's fucking crazy, bitch. That's crazy. This is better than Jaws. That's crazy.
He preserved the Mattawan man-eater. That's what was put on the sign. And displayed it in a New York City department store until it was stolen with only one photograph as evidence of his great catch. We'll put that here, or go check out the Instagram photo dump. And with that, the 12 days of terror caused by the Jersey man-eater came to an end. By the next summer, it was all a distant memory as people flooded back to the seashore, now worried instead about America having entered World War I. As many people would forget about the 1916 shark attacks for over 15 years when a struggling freelance writer published a novel about a shark terrorizing a resort town, which became an instant bestseller. It would be adapted the following year into a film by Steven Spielberg, which would incite as much panic as the 1916 attacks. That story was Jaws.
That's crazy.
Now, it should be noted that shark attacks are rare, especially in the United States. You are 38 times more likely to get struck by lightning than killed by a shark attack.
Right.
In the past 70 years, there have been only 37 fatal shark attacks in American coastal waters. So, what caused the Jersey man-eater to turn towards human prey?
What's going on with this juvenile great white?
Theories abound. Initial theories had that it was a rogue shark which had gone crazy and was stalking humans.
Okay.
But many modern scholars deride the rogue shark theory as nonsense because there has been never any other instance of a shark going rogue. They are solitary creatures to begin with.
Right.
Another whole set of theories has to do with the ongoing war in Europe. Some think that the naval battles were causing sharks to move westward across the Atlantic into United States waters.
Mm-hmm.
Others speculated that with Germany sinking many British merchant vessels and the sinking of warships, sharks began to eat drowned sailors and developed a taste for human flesh and found new feeding grounds in the popular beaches of New Jersey.
Okay, that actually makes sense. I get that one.
Another hypothesis says that the Jersey man-eater followed a German U-boat across the ocean knowing it would sink ships and instead found an all-you-could-eat buffet along the shore.
All of these are making sense. Honestly, it could be any one of them.
More likely than those, it was a temporary shift in the warm waters of the Gulf Stream, moving that to closer to shore that year, which would have brought a shark's usual prey close to the shore. This, along with the unprecedented number of beachgoers that year, made a shark interaction almost inevitable.
I mean, that makes sense.
Now, what about the shark swimming into a freshwater creek?
Great, how did it even live in the fresh water? What's going on? This is a saltwater creature who would die in the fresh water.
Now, many modern scientists have said that that shark was actually, despite the popular belief that it was a great white, it was actually a bull shark.
Oh.
Bull sharks are extremely aggressive and known to swim into freshwater, with some in Australia and parts of Africa actually making their homes entirely in freshwater rivers, and even a few being trapped in freshwater ponds after flooding and living full lives there. Really makes you rethink swimming in the creek as a kid, doesn't it?
I did swim in a lot of creeks as a kid.
Me too. And they're super aggressive, super territorial.
Mm-hmm.
And it should be noted that Fisher was only attacked after finding Lester Stillwell's body. Could it have been the shark trying to protect its prey, like its food?
That makes sense, yeah. Very much makes sense.
However, a great white can't be ruled out because the Matawan attacks was during a full moon, meaning the tide was higher in the creek with an increased amount of salt in the water, making it habitable for a great white to swim into.
Oh my god. That's crazy.
I'm like ruining creek swimming for you, aren't I?
No, I just think it's one thing, and you keep telling me more information, and it's like, I'm here and then I'm there, and you just keep telling me more information that keeps like making my brain go different ways.
As the blockbuster Jaws turns 50 this summer, we cannot forget the 5 attacks which inspired Peter Benchley to write his seminal work in the first place. Meanwhile, in Matawan, Lester Stillwell and Stanley Fisher are still remembered with 2 separate memorials, one near where they were attacked and one at the center of town in Memorial Park. Fisher in the town is considered a hero for his selflessness in diving into the waters of the creek to help young Lester without pause, and each memorial eulogizes him with the quote, "Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends." And as we remember the victims of the 1916 Jersey Shore shark attacks and the real-life Jaws, we have to pause and think, is it really safe to go back in the water? Paul, what do you think?
So, I have a couple thoughts.
Okay.
So I kind of do want it to be a great white shark because, I don't know, I stand the great white shark.
Yeah.
I kind of want it to be a great white shark. But honestly, I didn't know, like, all of that connected. Like, I heard the story of the boy in the creek getting attacked by the shark before, but I didn't know that's what inspired Jaws and everything. Yeah. And honestly, like, I do think with, like, like you said, it was a warmer summer than usual. The sharks are coming in straight, and we're seeing that these days with global warming, right? With, like, the increase of shark attacks, sharks coming closer to the shore, our waters are getting warmer.
Yes.
It makes a lot of sense that, like...
And more people in the water.
Exactly.
Because there were more people in the water. I know the rogue shark. I do think it was... So, some scholars and scientists and historians think it may have been more than one shark.
Right.
I kind of like the idea that it was just one shark.
Why?
Well, so as I mentioned at the top of this episode, my father showed me Jaws when I was little, so I'm terrified of sharks for many years, and so yeah. I have done everything that I possibly could to try and eradicate that fear, and I've watched Shark Week, and I read books and news articles and whatnot. To try and alleviate myself of that fear. And the way I like to describe sharks is they're kind of like giant sea puppies. Because you know how puppies, when they don't know what something is, they'll bite it?
Yeah.
That's what a shark will do.
Right.
So okay. I think the shark's like biting. But here's the thing. When you have a bite force of 4,000 pounds per square inch. So that's for every inch that its jaw is covering on your body, that's 4,000 pounds of pressure.
Right.
So what I might think is that to you, just a light tap, could be fatal. Okay. Or dire.
Right.
So I think this shark is just kind of swimming and it sees something and it's like, what's this? and it grabs it.
It is a juvenile.
It is a juvenile. It's looking for food. And there are many instances of sharks like just coming up, biting somebody once and coming back. And it's a juvenile. Who knows? Maybe it did sip. I mean, most sharks do not like humans because we're too bony. We're not very nutritious for them. They prefer fattier things like seals and walruses and fish. And on the whole, people aren't very fatty.
Right.
But maybe this Charles Van Sant and just kind of liked it and just was like, okay, I'm just going to come and take a bite out of everything. Like, whatever this is.
Okay.
I
kind of like more fun theory. What if this shark was kind of like the John Wayne Gacy of sharks, or the Jeffrey Dahmer
the rogue shark idea?
Yeah, that it just like it wandered off and got the human, and then he liked it and kept going just for the
that's what I'm saying.
Fun of it. Yeah.
So he didn't mean to kill anyone. He was just like, I'm gonna take a bite of you and then leave.
Right. He was doing it for fun.
And I think it should be noted that the only one, and this is why I think it was just one, every single one of these attacks was somebody who was clothed. But the only one that was kind of eaten was Lester Stillwell, who was swimming in the nude.
Mm-hmm.
Which there's no clothes to interrupt the eating.
Right. Wait, what were you trying to say with that? You were saying...
One shark.
Why would that be one shark?
Because like Van Sant, Bruder, and Fisher all had clothes on, and it only took bites out of them. It didn't actually like devour large parts of the bodies, except for Bruder's legs, which were unclothed. But Stillwell, who had a foot missing, part of his thigh missing, his abdomen was missing, he was the only one who had no clothes on, which would be like another animal.
I don't know, because, like, he attacked, like, didn't it attack, like, the parts that weren't clothed?
It did, and Stillwell wasn't clothed, and that's where the more serious injuries were.
Right, so it was going towards the part that weren't clothed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it didn't understand clothing.
How does that point towards one shark?
I don't know, I think it does. It was looking like, okay, which one of these hamburgers tastes like just that part?
Yeah, exactly. That could just be a shark thing. Yeah, nope, that could be a shark
And also
thing.
the fact that it kept going after legs.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it grabbed Charles Van Sant. It realized, okay, I can eat this. And it only went after legs after that, except for Lester Stillwell.
Period. Well, I guess we'll never know.
We really won't.
I wonder where because you said they stole the body.
Yeah.
I wonder where the body is.
I have no idea. It's probably... I did look up, like, preserved great white sharks, and they're pretty comical. If you want to laugh, because, like... I guess, like, when you're meant to be in water all the time, you can't really preserve it, but...
Right. What can you do?
Oh, what do you think?
Oh, jeez. I hope it was a great white shark. It could be just one shark. Do I think it could happen again? Maybe. Our environment's changing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so is it safe to get back in the water? Maybe. Maybe not. Who knows? This will forever be one of the spookiest things and a phobia of many for years to come.
Now, if you want, you can go to Matawan, New Jersey to this day, and you can rent kayaks and you can kayak up the creek. There is a railroad bridge where there's a mural of a shark over one of like the spillways going through. Wyckoff Dock is no more, and it's actually on private property now. It's a federally owned property. But if you canoe it, you can see some of the standings for it.
So if you like canoeing, there you go.
I do like canoeing, so yeah, maybe I will do that, and hopefully I won't see a shark.
Hopefully not. All right.
Now, Paul, I have one last question for you.
Okay.
Smash or pass? Bruce from Finding Nemo.
Is he the shark? Yeah.
Yeah, he's fish are friends, not food.
I think we'll smash. Yeah, why
I'll
not?
smash him.
Yeah, he's.
I never knew my father.
He seems like Maybe one of those insufferable vegans, though, that
Yes.
are just like...
I'm kind of here for it.
Not all vegans are insufferable, of course.
Because I think whoever has stayed this long are true fans, and I appreciate you. Do you want to hear a fun fact?
Sure.
Do you know why Bruce from Finding Nemo, that's his name?
No.
It goes back to Jaws. When they were making the movie, they named the animatronic shark Bruce after Spielberg's lawyer.
Period. The more you know. There's some lore for y'all.
There's some lore, some Jaws lore at the end of our Jaws anniversary episode.
Period. Get into Jaws.
We'll celebrate any holiday. But no, please, let us know what you think. Please like, subscribe, follow wherever you are listening. Please connect with us on social media, and you can DM us or email us if you have personal stories. Paul, where can they find you?
You can find me at my personal Instagram and TikTok at Paul Ember, Paulember. And as usual, it's not delivery. It's bloody DiGiorno.
And if you'd like to follow me, you can do so on TikTok and on Instagram at TheRealDeejPowers. And until next time, be careful out in those waters. And keep your grips tight.
And your corks loose.
Bye. Take this, you smug son of a bitch. Bang!